This is Again for the First Time with your host, Darren Redmond.
Hello, everybody. This is Darren Redmond with the Again for the First Time podcast, and I am so happy. I have my brother from another mother, somebody that I spent years and years with, working together with the Fresno Monsters. Again, full disclosure, and even better, even more importantly, as much as I love that time, just every Saturday night, having a cigar, sitting down, solving the world's problems, or just forgetting the world's problems. I was showing him beforehand, got one right here, or a little later. And as I sit in Cape Cod, you outside of Central California, rather. Uh, Brian Rivera, how are you, my brother?
It's good to see you, my friend.
And for those who don't know, and for the kids playing at home, Brian Rivera, he is just one of the most influential, and I'm going to use that word, and it's not just too much, people in understanding what's going on in youth sports, specific to hockey more, though you now coach softball as well. What's going on in junior hockey. He used to be the co-commentator for the Fresno Monsters. And you might say, wait a minute, what do you mean used to? Where did he go? He didn't go anywhere. Actually, he took if this was the time warp from Rocky Horror, he took a jump to the left. He's now sitting in the left-handed chair. Are you going to sit in the same chair? He is the play-by-play voice of your Fresno Monsters. Are you going to sit in the same chair? Or are you going to move over?
No, I'm moving the chair to the left.
Yeah, I'm
going to move the chair to the left. Get a little bit more room over there. A little more room to take some notes and do some different things.
I love that for so many reasons. But Brian Rivera, how are you, my friend?
I am doing well. The weather is beautiful out right now. It's starting to turn. Even though, we're almost to November. I'm going to say it's just barely starting to turn fall. I'm sure it's been in the 90s here up until the last week or so. So
you're killing me. I say all that nice stuff, and there you got to go. You got to go and do that.
The weather's finally cooling down.
Just unbelievable. Though the weather hasn't been too bad here this past week, but it's good to have you back. Now, listen, we're going to talk about, and I want to talk about this year's Fresno Monsters of the USPHL, and tell us what's in store for us Monster fans, for us who love the Monsters, for those who are still waiting for that breakout season. We seem to make the playoffs, and then the scary stuff. What's going on with the team this year?
Well, it's going to be a new core group of players. We've pretty much only kept, I think, if I can count correctly, maybe 4 or 5 players from last year's team. So this team is going to be a whole host of new players and new faces, new names, and they're going to be tasked with keeping the Monsters standard and even raising it a notch or two while playing some hockey.
So there's a lot to unpack there, because what is monster hockey? I mean, I think I know that answer. What is it? What was it? What will it continue to be, or change, or augment? So when somebody says to you, hey, look, I'm coming into the Central Valley. I heard I want to see a hockey game. And what am I in for? Specific to the ice, not the stuff that we used to do and still do. You do, outside to make the fan experience what it is. But what is the culture? What is the locker room? What is it like to be a Fresno Monster?
It is something that you have to have pride in, representing something more than yourself and holding yourself to the highest standard possible to make yourself a better person, first off and foremost. Then on the hockey side, it is playing hard, playing fast, playing physical, with respect to making sure that you give your best effort every time you step on the ice.
Excellent, excellent. And so you mentioned that it might change this year, sort of a little bit of a shift. Is it? What do you mean by that?
Well, I just think that we are going to be a heavy European based team this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think some of what people are used to in the past with the Fresno Monsters on being super physical, super tough, is not maybe going to happen this year as far as what people most love about hockey, if you talk to them, is the fighting part of it, right? We talk,
Mm-hmm.
you see any hockey thing, everybody stands on their feet when the fights happen. And this year, I think the guys are going to be much more disciplined on that end.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, still being able to answer the physical bell per se and play the correct style of hockey.
Well, I want to dive into that a little bit and kind of talk about a shift I saw even before I left. It's for Cape Cod over a year ago. But
Yeah,
before
thanks
I
for
do
running.
that, for those of you who see this is a hat of Element drink, sports drink. I'm drinking it right now. I'm having the mango fresh. I have to tell you, people, this is amazing. People talk about what did Tom Brady do to stay active, stay in shape. And one of the things he does is make sure that his salt content is at the premium and a little more, plus electrolytes. And that's what Element Sports Drink does. It's actually a powder. You can have it multiple times a day. I love to put the chocolate into my hot coffee in the morning, which is great as well. Proud sponsor of the PSF app, which, as everyone knows, I'm the media caster for the New York Jets, who are just abysmal, sideshow, clown car, off the rails, hit the wall. Terrible, but we love the Jets anyway. But love my Element Sports Drink. But now listen, back to what I saw with the fans in Fresno. Um, and I was really happy to see that. We all know they like the fights, right? It stands up, all this tough, this. But and tell me if I'm wrong, give me the pushback if it's there. I noticed even a couple of our fans that are a little intense with horns and such, um, they understand good play. I mean, they were like, stupid penalty. Why are you doing that? Don't be the third person in. Don't be a parking call on defense. I think that, would you agree that the IQ of the fan has, I think, grown pretty well over the course of the years?
Oh, I think I totally agree with you. I mean, when the Fresno Monster first started, they were the prototypical, junior hockey team.
Mhm.
Games would be close. There'd be lots of fights. Fans enjoyed it. They went away happy. But then as the Monsters progressed, they got better talent. And not that we've ever had bad talent or no talent. We've always had high end talent, but we kept the
Mhm.
high end talent level here for so many years. So people got used to seeing good hockey, just straight played hockey as well. And they've become, like you said, more critical of what's going on. And they understand now when it's this a bad time to take a penalty or
That's what I was getting at. Yeah.
they understand that come down, you can't have your captain take a 10-minute misconduct, with 14 minutes left in the third period of a 2-goal hockey game when your captain's supposed to be your best player.
Right.
They understand all those things now. And so the hockey IQ of Fresno has grown in the last 16 years of the Fresno Monsters.
And it's really fun to do that. At the same time, they're still selling out and still loud and still engaged, and they're learning along the way. You don't have to sacrifice one for the other.
Absolutely. We've been able to have both where we've been tough, and if we needed to fight,
Mhm.
we can fight and rile the crowd up that way, or we've been able to put a lot of goals on the board and keep the fans happy that way by great individual efforts or great team play, great pass, great shot, all those things to keep the fans entertained on both sides of the coin.
So But the last couple of years, your partner in the booth, one of your partners, John English, the play-by-play voice of the Monsters before you, decided he had to move on for other responsibilities. Walk us through your growth working as a color person, then as you're getting to know your partner and stepping in. And this is what I loved about this transition. It's not like, oh, he's never done it before. You've actually taken the mic. You've worked um, uh, the shows for the colleges. You've worked selling arena. You did the main microphone there a couple times. And you're working with Kala. Walk me through that process for you personally. What has that been like? Because you've really done a great job. You've earned this right.
Working with John, who was such a absolute professional in his demeanor of the broadcast and what he brought, his knowledge of the game, his knowledge of the sport, the knowledge of the Monsters, of hockey in general, really made me keep my game up as well, being a color commentator and making sure that John's doing a great job calling the game. I didn't want to be that person that was going to be, oh, look at him, he's just kind of there to be there and not really add anything to the broadcast. I wanted to give it more value. And John was always great about, giving me a topic to talk about when there was a break in the action that really allowed me to show my experience from playing the game, playing at that level, coaching at that level, and throughout the other parts of hockey that I've been in at the minor pro level, and all those different types of things. And John was just really great at all of it. And he's really leaving me big shoes to fill, because I feel that John had that professional being in, that's his kind of profession. He may not be a voice on the radio, but he works in the radio profession and knows what it is to be a DJ or a voice on the air. So for me now this year and working with Claude and I are going to have a more of a loose fun with the game, and there's going to be a lot of times where we just may be cracking jokes with ourselves to each other and let the game just play for itself because of just how things are going, and I get the few times that I do, I have done the games. I'll get a text midway through from someone that's watching on Flow Hockey and be like, "You guys are killing me right now. Quit talking about this. Watch talking about the hockey game, for crying out loud." But I have that tendency
but you gotta love that.
To go off the rails a little bit and get off track. But it's all good fun. And for me, I think I'm trying to learn myself is trying to think about it as people are actually watching the game. I don't have to say, like if I was on radio, be every play that's happening. I can, let the play talk for itself and maybe just throw in a few more names or a little inflection of what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, no pushback with that. I think it's adding to it. Well, you don't have to be the cues because of radio. They can't see anything at all. One thing about hockey, and that's why it's so much better to watch in person than on television, is you also and you do it. I've listened to you, whether I'm here in Cape Cod or back in California. If you see somebody streaming up the left side, you don't see that on the television.
Yeah.
If you see that there's a big hit somewhere else, you still are conveying that, and you have to convey that.
Sure.
And you do a nice job of that. And here's something that sounds so sincere because it's true about what you're able to do. And that is, you sound different when you are a color commentator than when you're doing the play-by-play. Obviously, you have to do different things. But like you just mentioned, when you're with Kala, it's a little bit more loosey-goosey fun, but it's authentic. When you're with John, it's different, but it's still authentic. The viewer doesn't lose a damn thing.
Right, right. Yeah, no, working with John, like I said, it was a little more, I don't want to say straight laced, but it was a little more on the serious side than, and Claude and I are going to be a little bit more on the other side. And I think that works well for both of us in our own ways, you know. And John was, even towards the end, we were loosen, you know, got John to loosen up a little bit more, and you know, we started having a little bit more fun with John in there, and that, like you said, I think it's just more of adding to a broadcast to show that everybody's having fun.
Right. You know, but yet what always came out was that not only that you respected the game, and we've talked about this before on this program and other programs as well, you respect the other team, you respect the other players. Never once have I heard you guys, you know, how you listen to some other broadcasts, let's be honest, and they'll say, oh, the so-and-so's from Fresno. They're probably going to, you never degrade your opponent. You always treat those people in class. Now, you might talk about an individual. You might talk about an individual performance of a coach, you know, that day where they lost their mind. But you always treated the sport with respect because you always knew their family was watching.
Yeah, you know, it's one thing that for whatever you do in the game, you have to, like you said before, respect the game. And if the opponent is giving an honest effort and playing well, and knowing that we're just not broadcast nine times out of 10, maybe even Darren, or 8 times out of 10, we're not broadcasting for the Fresno fans because the Fresno fans are there. We're
True.
broadcasting for the visiting team that's listening, that can't, you know, those parents that can't make it. So, you know, if their son is doing a great job, whatever team it might be for, we want to acknowledge that because we know those parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles are all
Mhm.
listening to those games because they want to see how their child, their nephew is doing during the season.
You know, we're all competitive, right? I want to have the best podcast that I can. I want to be the best at my level. You want the best production in your booth. I've seen it because I was, you know, part of it in terms of just helping you guys doing what I did. But what I really enjoy though is you're open to your fans, and I say your fans, not just Monster fans, because when you step out of that booth, I've seen it. Hey, it is Brian. Hey, you know, and like, hey, great call last night. Or like you said, they might chirp you a little bit in the text
Yeah,
message or
yeah.
whatever. Your production values are pretty darn high. I mean, I'll share something I've shared on this program before as well. I remember one time it was at Salon Arena. You and Kalau were in the booth, and you were calling the action, and somebody got hurt. And that somebody's child was on the ice struggling. And I get emotional talking about this stuff. And just, you guys said, even on the mic, well, at least I was able to hear it, get the camera off of him. You know, that's huge.
Yeah, you know, it's. I mean, there. Don't get me wrong. There are people, and I can be one at a time that want to see an injury. They want to see what
No,
happened,
yeah, of
right?
course.
And,
But you know the difference.
yeah, exactly. But there's a time, and especially for something like this, where it just, you don't want to for everybody's sake, whether they don't like seeing it or not, making the parents of the player worry about it. We just get them, don't, we'll find something else to focus on. We can talk about something else, and try to make it as, you know, well, I don't want to say selfless or painless because we know the child's in pain, but
Mm.
try to make it as easy as possible to coerce the parent to know that your child's going to be okay, and we don't want to exploit the fact that he's hurt.
Right. I mean, and I could speak to that as well from being there as part of the Monsters, and as my time as a coach and as time as a college player. sometimes, and at times you are a player at very high level. Sometimes, for example, people as you listen, they're on the ice or they're on the turf just because the trainer's telling them, stay there, don't move, we want to check you out. It looks
Yeah,
a lot of times worse than it is. So, when you have the camera on that person, your brain is going to go weird places.
exactly. Exactly.
Put the camera someplace else.
Yeah,
Let the trainers who are highly trained do what they do. A lot of times, like they get the wind knocked out of them, or they just got to kind of get their bearings back. Or it could be a small cut that bleeds a lot, but it's
sure.
a small cut.
Yeah, no, and we try to do as best we can without being too graphic, let him know what's happening. Oh, the players made it back to the bench, or the player's been carted to the locker room. We'll see if we can get some more information for you if that arises. But we do want to know that we want to portray that the players' safety and health is the utmost importance of the thing, and we do want not ever want to speculate about any type of injury, being that we're not on the ice knowing what's going on.
So before we kind of get on to talk about some of the players and what to expect this year, before we wrap up, one other question is: so how do you work your guests in between periods? Because or the end of the game, do you have a runner? Do you say, "Hey, call down," or do you have a rotation, or do we not want to give that away?
No, there's no secret to our madness. It's before the game. Claude and I are there plenty early, an hour or so before the game, if not more. We go up in our booth there, we make sure our equipment's working, and we're talking about what we want to do for that night. Do we want to interview Coach Mannon before the game? Do we want to interview Coach Mannon during, while warmups is going on, so we can see what's going on? Do we want to interview a player? We kind of run it past ownership or run it past Coach Mannon to make sure that we have the access that we don't want to disrupt what the team has going or what the player may be having to do during an intermission. And then at the end of the game, for the end of the game stuff, we during the second intermission, we have our eyes on some players that we may want to talk to, and then we have a little period break about the 10-minute mark of the period, and we kind of reaffirm, maybe write some notes to each other and show because we're on camera, we're talking to be like, okay, here's who we're gonna, we'll give it. Hey, this is who we're gonna talk to, and then with about 5 minutes left, I'll be left to finish the game, and Claw will head down by the player entrance, and he'll be in contact with the camera people through ear microphones and stuff. And
Mhm.
we're one of the things we're going to add this year, Darren, it's going to be pretty cool.
I love all this stuff.
We're going to be able to from the booth
Mhm.
interview the player on the ice,
Oh, that's
right?
beautiful.
And then at the same time, it's going to portray through the whole arena, so
Oh, great.
all the fans can hear it as well.
Oh, that's gonna
It's,
our
it's going to
fans
be
are.
so cool.
You see, I say out. A little birdie told me that there is some pretty cool shenanigans that are going to happen for opening night. Want to tell me about opening night and some Halloween stuff?
Yeah, we are opening Thursday night on Halloween, and
Mhm.
of course, we're going to have your generic, typical, Halloween. Wear your Halloween costume to the game. We'll have
Mhm.
some fun games to play during the intermission. But what's really going to wrap up the whole weekend is on Saturday. The boys are going to be wearing Dia de los Muertos themed
Ah,
monster
nice.
jerseys.
Nice.
So for those that aren't aware or know about the Dia de los Muertos thing here, it's a big Latino thing where you on it happens around our traditional Halloween, and I don't know if there's an exact day that it's celebrated,
Mhm.
but it's celebrated throughout the Latino people where they honor their past deceased, and it's a day of
Mhm.
remembrance and everything else. And we thought that this year, since we were, like I said, it happens around Halloween, and I don't, like I said, I'm not sure if there's an actual day or not that's nationally known.
Right.
But we thought,
It's a wonderful event.
yeah, well, we thought with our community being so Latino heavy throughout,
Mhm.
and we have, excuse me, so we've had Latino players in the past. We have Latino players in the youth program that we thought this would be a perfect opportunity, being that is like around the Halloween celebration time would be the perfect time to do this jersey auction.
I think that is awesome.
So the
And
jerseys are gonna you could there's going to be a link on the Fresno Monsters webpage,
mhm.
all their social media pages, that starting at 5 o'clock, you can start bidding, live bid all those jerseys
I love live bid.
all the way through the end of the game. And then you'll be able to, after the end of the game, the player, it sounds like there's going to take off the jersey, put a signature on it, and once you pay for it, it's yours. And you can get, if you happen to be, one of the ones that went online or whatever, it'll be at Gateway Ice Center, and you can come by and pick it up.
You ever watch Ted Lasso yet?
No, I've never.
Because you would really like that show. So, I've been watching that with my wife and my mother-in-law, and we just enjoy it. You just prompted something. So they sign a star player, like just one, supposedly like one of the greatest players, but he's definitely unique. So you
Okay.
mentioned about signing. So right before the match, they finally sign him, and they're looking at it, and legal gives the contract back to the manager and says, "Yeah, he signed it. I don't know how legal it is because he wrote, 'You're welcome.'" I can
Oh,
just
man.
imagine some of our players in the past having that
Yeah.
kind of personality. Well,
Oh,
maybe they don't sign their name.
right,
That's
right.
almost
Or like the what happened with Roger Maris, and the guy told him to put an X on the ball. So he put the X on the ball for the signature, and then the guy,
yep,
blew up on him, which was completely crazy in its own right.
absolutely. And before I let you go, tell me what uh, we talked about what to expect this year in terms of the difference in play. Any players stand out?
I haven't been able to be around much as far
Hmm.
as being able to watch what's going on,
Hmm.
but when I've been told that we are going to have some exciting players. I know some names, and I've been told the type of style they're going to play.
I like that. I
And,
like keeping it secret. That's a good thing, my friend.
no, and I won't keep it a secret. But I just I can only go on what I've been told. I haven't really been able to watch that much to make my own part of what I think the player is.
Hmm.
We have our captain Niels Toonbrat, big Swedish kid, 6'2", 6'3", can skate. He can shoot the puck. Doesn't mind being physical. He's going to be one that's going to be asked to carry some of the offensive load this year. And from what I've been told, that he's going to be a big part of the offense on the forward side,
Nice.
along with the kid that we just picked up from Larange, where our former coach Killer Kaminsky is at. Um,
Nice.
Alec McIsaac, who'll come down. He's a little bit on the smaller side from what I understand, but he's very skilled and very quick, and he can put the puck in the net as well. So we're still gonna have that. I think it sounds like that dynamic offense is,
Good.
we're gonna be able to put the puck in the net. But I think is what we're really going to help us is our defense, even though we're not going to be very big physically,
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to be a little bit more disciplined, which is which is the most important part. I know there's going to be times when we're going to be up against a bigger team, such as Ontario. They come in with their big skilled forwards, and our defense is going to struggle physically, but I think determination wise, they're really responsible on making sure they're taking care of the defensive end first. So we got guys like Jesse Newtonen, who is can be that offensive defenseman.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, he's very sound defensively at home that knows that his first job is to, clear a rebound or make that good first pass on the breakout. Then if there's a chance to join the rush, he'll join the rush. But for the most part, he's going to be maybe that what we would call that fourth forward, being the
Mm-hmm.
first defenseman in to join the rush. But again, he's not going to be asked to carry the puck, even though he probably could carry the puck through most of the team and then make a play. And then we also have another kid, Felix Heine, who is another Swedish defenseman. He's a little bit thicker and a little bit bigger, and he'll be able to have a little more balance in the corners and battling along the boards that are really, really help out defensively.
So before we wrap up, I want to also bring up the fact that I think that the Monsters have really started to separate themselves from the previous hockey that has been here in a good way, right? I mean, there are some people who are fans of the Monsters for over a decade who really don't have any lineage to what was before, which I think is a great thing. But one of the things people used to say is, well, are players going to college? What's next? And we had some players this year go to college to play. I think that's great. I mean, we should be talking about that more. A
Yeah,
few of
no,
our players.
yeah, no, it really is because I know at one point at the start of our program, it was very heavy that a lot of our kids aging out at 20 years old were our job was to develop them enough to be better hockey players to play at that college level.
Mhm.
And a lot of it, we were successful. I would say at an 85% rate, we would get kids that,
That's great.
wanted to go to college. We found them a place to play. We found kids that, even at one point, that wanted to go to college that didn't get any looks, but by the time the college season started around, he was on a team. So
Right.
our coaches have done the due diligence to help these kids develop and further their careers in college, which is ultimately the biggest thing about a junior program. Yes, it'd be nice. Don't get me wrong, to go to nationals, win a national championship. But when you think about it, as much as I'm in the media and I see all the league stuff, I couldn't tell you who won the national championship last year.
Nobody cares.
Right. So
You care if you're in it, you want to win it.
yes. I mean, and it's a nice memory, and
Mhm.
through all the years of me playing, I only won one state title, and it was,
Right.
And
It's
it's
good for
nice.
you and the family and the coaches, but
Yeah, but we won. We've all gone our separate ways. I barely talk or have any contact with any of those guys on that team anymore.
Mhm.
So yeah, it'd be a nice memory, nice run to go through. But realistically, the goal here in the program is to get them to that Division 3 or that Division 2 college level where
Mhm.
they can continue playing and get a degree and make themselves a better person.
Oh, absolutely. And I have to tell you, people, be careful of the charlatans. That's not what this podcast is about. Who offering you a T-shirt and a BS 4-day training camp. But the beauty of going to junior hockey, the junior of playing on teams at that level, and as Brian always talked about, traveling outside your area, not just playing the same four teams in a, that league experience about becoming knowledgeable about the world. I've hired well over 1,000 people in my life in the corporate world and now running nonprofits. And when I have a young woman or man who sits down in front of me at 19 years old, 25 years old, and can say, yes, I went to Notre Dame and we went on the field beforehand. We went to Toronto and I got to see this, or I went and I did this. That goes a long way. And that is hockey brings you that, gives you that opportunity, but it's not about the hockey. Am I wrong?
No, absolutely. It's about life experiences. I was telling somebody the other day, um, I try to tell them, like you said, to get away and play different areas. And like for me, throughout my playing career, I've played in 22 of the 50 states for hockey throughout from when I started traveling at 9 years old to when I stopped playing at 20. I've been to 22 states just for hockey alone.
How
You know,
awesome is that?
I've from California, I've went all the way to in one season. One season, I went to Chicago, Detroit. Oh, sorry, no, Denver, Detroit, and Green Bay in one season. And that season, we played 80 something hockey games as a 17, 18-year-old team. And it was, you sit back and you go, oh man, remember when? And it's just the experiences. I've been to the University of Denver. I've seen their locker room. Teams my father's coach had met the coach for Air Force, Colorado College. They went to the university, the Olympic Training Center. They went to, along with my brother coaching, and of course my brother playing a little bit professional, minor pro. They went to the Dallas Stars practice facility and got to tour the whole thing during the strike year, where they saw the amount of equipment they keep, the gitch that they wear underneath their jerseys, all the jerseys, all the socks, and they go in the locker room and see what the locker room
It's
atmosphere is
amazing.
like. It's and to this day we're trying to tell people you have to, we're trying to connect people with the people we know to create experience for these kids because it's something they'll never forget.
Oh, I totally,
we
totally
we have
agree.
we have a friend, my brother and I, and she knows the family a little bit, but she played hockey growing up, and then she ended up working for the Anaheim Ducks while she went to college.
How great is that?
Okay, she ended up, one of her friends that she worked there with now is part of the NHL production group, so for special events, and so her friend has hooked her up to go meet Wayne Gretzky. Like, what is like
Yep.
a girl from? I think she's born and raised in Selma or Kingsburg. She gets to meet Wayne Gretzky.
Mhm.
And she's taking her son and her daughter, and of course they have no idea who Wayne Gretzky is because they're all, I think they're 10 and 8, so they got no idea the player Wayne Gretzky is, right? And I think she and her husband were more in awe of Wayne Gretzky listening to the stories than the kids were, you
Oh,
know.
yeah.
But, I mean,
Yeah,
she's got connections. She's been to the Winter Classic a couple of times, and like when I say when she went to meet Wayne Gretzky back when Gretzky was part of the Kings and street hockey was taking um, a big growth. LA Gear developed these Wayne Gretzky street hockey shoes. Okay. And she bought a pair for her yet to be unborn kid who wasn't even in the picture when these shoes were out because she was,
She knew.
yeah, right. She bought them and held on to them for a good part of 15 years until the kid was old enough to put them on, and he had them on when um they went to meet Wayne Gretzky, and Wayne Gretzky goes, holy cow, look at those. And everybody in the thing was like, what are you talking about? Wayne, he goes, the kid's shoes. And they're looking at him. He goes, one of the guys goes, what are those? He goes, back when and then like Gretzky just said, he goes, yeah, back when I was with the Kings, LA Gear developed those street hockey shoes for kids to wear. And then all the guys on the crew were like, no way, no way. He's like, yeah, man, I can't remember when the last time I saw one of those. I think the last time I saw one when I was in LA playing for the Kings. I haven't seen them in 20 years. And so it was a big talking point, and it just, that's what hockey is. It's a big sport with a small family.
Which you love, I mean, that's really what it's all about. And a great way to end this podcast, except to say, go Monsters. Thursday night, be there. Anything to add to that, my friend?
No,
Gateway Ice Center, people.
Gateway Ice Center, 7:45 Thursday night. The Ontario Junior Reign come to Gateway Ice Center to take on the Fresno Monsters.
Love it. Love it. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, buddy.
Be
Talk to you
well.
soon.